This is Traffic Jams here on CKUA. I'm Lisa Wilton, here with you until 6 p.m. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the CPKC Holiday Train, which has raised almost $23 million for community food banks across Canada and the U.S. The 14 rail cars are lit up with hundreds of thousands of LED lights, and there's a modified boxcar that is set up as a stage for musical performances. The Canadian Holiday Train will be in Alberta from December 6th until December 12th. Whistle stops include Camrose, Lacombe, Innisfail, Lethbridge, and Calgary. The U.S. train also loops up into the province on December 19th for stops in Medicine Hat, Tilley, Brooks, and Gleason. Since 2014, Calgary photographer Neil Zeller has taken thousands and thousands of photos of this holiday train, both as an official photographer and as the guide of his holiday train photography chase. And I'd like to welcome Neil to the show today to talk about what it's like photographing this famous locomotive. Hello, Neil.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you again for swinging by to talk about this. I want to know, when did you first start photographing the CPKC Holiday Train?
It's a pretty interesting story. In 2014, I was photographing Beakerhead. There was a steampunk photo shoot for an installation called El Polpo Mecanico there. And there was a steampunk players, and I was photographing them. There was a steampunk couple that came up to me and said, "Hey, can you photograph us? Our photographer's camera had died, and we'd like to get some photos of our engagement that's happening right now." And I said, "Well, yeah, I'll do it, but let's finish the big photo shoot with the steampunk people." Turns out this person was the comms person for Canadian Pacific Railway at the time. Wow. A few months later, I got invited to ride the train. And it's a really rare thing to get because there's no ticketed passengers on there. It's just dignitaries, mayors from towns that it's visiting. And I got the opportunity to bring my family on board. While on board that year, we were traveling from Calgary down to Lethbridge, and I pestered the crew into letting me off the train, getting me a ride to get a photograph of the train on the high-level bridge in Lethbridge. I got that photo, gave it to them that night, and they posted it to a viral sensation of this photo because some fog had rolled in, and it created this very ethereal shot of the holiday train. And I think it elevated the program that night, actually. I got a nice thank you. They gave me a really nice jacket at a lunch in January after the show was over. And then the following year in August, or that following year in August, they invited me to photograph the train officially. And so since that time, that was 2015 then, and since that time I've been each year getting a chunk of the track in Canada to chase the train on. So it's been a wildly fun adventure.
Tell us about some of those first trips that you took out to take photos of the train. And, did it work out, or did it take a couple of tries to sort of figure out how to get the photos that you wanted?
I had the ability to stop the train, which was unique. So at night, I had been given a couple of requests through begging and pleading, and the train never stops, right?
Yeah.
Only at the shows it has to get there.
Yeah.
It travels on a freight railway system, and so it's sort of blocking the commerce side of the company of CPKC now. And so they have to be very efficient and no stopping. So I again begged and pleaded for them to stop at a few points, one or two points over the course of 4 days, where it would make sense to stop the train on a beautiful trestle bridge over a river somewhere. And so they did, and 10-second stops, right? But it's a lot to slow the train down and brought it up. So I was very grateful, and they were happy with the result as well, because these photos became, again, these viral sensations every year, and I think helped elevate the program. I'm a night photographer already.
Right.
And so I had the skills basically, within the camera and what I liked doing already. And so it was a natural extension of what I love doing already. And if you're a transportation lover, if you let alone a train lover, this is a key transportation piece in North America. Top 10. Mm-hmm. There's for big airplane, ships, race cars. This thing is sought after as a photo for photographers and enthusiasts alike of transportation, of photography, of trains. So it's an incredible opportunity to sort of have the ear of CPKC, and be able to create these images. So as far as challenging, the challenging was finding the locations.
Right, right. Have you just done Alberta? Have you done across Canada?
Yeah, I've done stints in Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia now. So all the way across Western Canada. Maybe in the future we'll go back east. There's usually not a lot of snow on the ground because they start early, right? November, end of November, and there's usually not a lot of snow on the ground. So the train photographs the best in the Rocky Mountains. Across the vast prairies, there's opportunities there with the big skies, historical monuments. Back east has really cool train stations and trestles and things, but with the northern boreal forest that the train travels through and some of the large metropolitan centers, I think Western Canada really is a key place for me. So I'm happy that's where I've been able to photograph it.
For sure. How do you feel when you get that perfect shot?
It's always elation, right? It never gets old. We put a lot of effort into finding those locations. I spent a lot of time scouting places locally in Alberta and British Columbia. I can scout in person. If I do travel afar, I spend a lot of time on Google Maps and searching out what other foaming at the mouth rail photographers are photographing and where they're going for these key spots. So I rely on the network of incredibly helpful rail fans.
Oh, good.
And so it's pretty easy to scout the locations and then just managing time, because when the train isn't at it's one of its stops for the show, it's relentless, right? It's moving like it's doing 100 kilometers an hour, just roaring down the tracks, and they have no stop signs. They have no turns or highway interchanges to go through, right? So if I get behind while chasing that train, I have to be really selective of the places I'm going.
Right.
I can't just I can't just leapfrog it, hop out and watch it whiz by while I'm still setting up the camera.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you're hosting and guiding a holiday train chase. Tell us about this group photography trip.
So this is my fourth one I've hosted. And we're lucky in Alberta because every second year it goes one route, and then the opposite year it goes another route. So it goes through Banff last year. This year it's back down through Lethbridge and Crow's Nest Pass again. So we get these opportunities to mix it up a little bit as opposed to being on the same route. So enthusiasts, train fans, photography fans, adventure fans come on my train chase photography tour and have these opportunities with me. Because, again, sometimes I get the ear of CPKC for a slowdown at least, right? Can we slow down going across this bridge and we can make better night photography out of it? So people sign up and I book all the logistics, have my own tour van, so they're with me chasing the train. And it's one of the greatest adventures I host. I go to Africa and up north to the Yukon and all over Alberta, Saskatchewan, and BC hosting tours. And this is one of the most fun, dynamic, and varied adventures I host. Yeah,
it's not really chill. You're moving along all the time, and
it's not chill at all. We get to the hotel and you're just toast. You fall down in bed and wake up the next morning and away you go, because we're going all day long.
Right.
Other things we see along the way, it's pretty neat. We had an incredible wolf encounter.
Oh wow!
There was 5 wolves predating a moose along in Kootenai Park the one year that we got to stop and witness. We've got snowy owls out on the prairies as we've been chasing that we had to, as we're watching the snowy owl, I'm watching the clock to make sure that we're not going to miss the next opportunity for the train. So, the train is always coming, so we're always sort of chasing that. But when these other opportunities come up, we look at those as well.
Well, thank you, Neil, for, again, spending some time to talk about this great endeavor.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
That was Calgary photographer Neil Zeller, owner of Neil Zeller Photography Tours. If you're interested in taking part in this year's CPKC Holiday Train Chase, you can find out more information and sign up by going to neilzellerphototours.com. And to find out more about the Holiday Train and see the stop schedule, go to cpkcr.com.